Today we will be discussing something called data analytics. Before we start, just a few recommended settings. If you are on phone, set your phone brightness to maximum. Okay. So if you keep the phone rotation on, put it in landscape mode. Okay. Turn your mic video off. Okay. Then use of headphones if you have any. Okay. So about me, I'm into a lot of things, but recently I'm working on this IoT, machine learning, analytics, and blockchain. You can just Google up my name, so you will get my website. You can explore about me more there. Okay, so just recap like what we will be learning today. So first point is we will understand what is analytics, then big data and analytics scenarios, importance of analytics, then types of analytics, then we have something called augmented analytics started in 2020, then how machine learning will aid to the analytics, then how analytics refines the businesses, some case studies, and finally your career towards analytics. Okay, so first question we would like to ask you is analytics already impacting you? Okay, suppose if you are watching YouTube videos, okay, so if you watch any video, YouTube will try to predict next video which you will be liking to watch it. Okay, so that is the example for YouTube recommendations. The recommendations are based on analytics itself. Then Amazon provides something called offers based on shopping. So the more you shop, they will give you some cashback or even some coupons kind of thing. So that will be again tempt the users to again buy again. Okay, so that is also a product of analytics itself. Then how Google shows you ads based on your search. So that is also based on analytics. Then you also have, if you have some credit cards kind of thing, so you have something called loyalty card or points. Okay, so that points will like help the users to use the card of particular company itself. Okay, so the more points are given, so the more they will shop, the more profitable it will be. So that is one point. Then if you look into Instagram, something like that, so they also have something like recommendation engine. So based on your previous view of the images of celebrities or something like that, it will try to predict which celebrity you will be liking more in upcoming days. Okay, so that is how it is impacting you. So next point is data is the new oil and soil. So why I'm saying this is, long back if you take history, I'm talking about 1800s and 1900s. So if you take 1800s and all, even if you start at the beginning of the human civilization, soil was the most important factor. Who was having the most irrigated land, who is having the most best soil, we're having the increase in the crops productivity. Okay, so the more crops grown, the more earning was there, the more fertile land was giving rise to good kingdoms, something like that. Okay, so soil was a defining factor for any kingdom or any nation. After that, as days passed by regarding industrialization and all, oil became the new factor. So this oil totally redefined everything in a new way. Okay, so you can look at the plastics. Okay, so you can look at the petrol engine, diesel engines provided in this for our day-to-day world. Oil actually makes the factor. So that's the reason Saudi developed in 20 years to a flipping momentum, in the sense it was not like, if you just look at the Saudi 20 years back and now, you cannot assume that the way it has changed. Okay, because oil became the defining factor for it. Okay, so who owns the oil will control the world, like that. Okay, now the point here is data will become the new oil and soil. Okay, that means the more who is having control over the most data will define who is having control over the world. In the sense, nowadays if you look at the most of the prominent companies, Google and Facebook, so they possess the most of the data of the world, personal information of people and their behavior. So now that's the reason you cannot take out Google and Facebook as a corporate companies, because they own the most of the data. Even Amazon comes in a leading edge in e-commerce. Okay, so data is the new oil. Then before proceeding ahead, I want you to understand that there is something called data versus information. That is, data will be meaningless, whereas information will be meaningful. Okay, so I'll just give an example so that you can understand. There is a road, there is a traffic signal, there is some circle. Okay, so there is some hospital. So these are all examples of data, like entities which does not have meaning. Okay, for example, if I say there is a traffic signal, does not make sense. If I just say like 20th road, does not make sense. If I say just a circle, does not make sense. Information will be meaningful in the sense, if I say go ahead with the 20th road, there is a circle, you will get some signal, after that you take right, then you will get this hospital. So if I make a sentence like this, it will be meaningful for you. Okay, so meaning is more important than raw entities. Okay, but the things are collected in the form of data. Okay, so whatever we generate is in the form of data, whereas all the things will be information. Okay, so now here comes the biggest question. Okay, so there are some researchers will say that like 2.5 quintillion of data is generated on each day. Okay, so this is very huge. I'll just give imagination of this in the next slide, but before that, like we'll just assume why this is true. Okay, so is this true? We'll check it out. Okay, so if you take your phone, okay, so your normal phone, average 10,000, like 7 to 10,000 rupees phone will have minimum of at least 10 to 12 sensors, even of like the max of 32, 35, 40 sensors. So each sensors will read the data. Okay, so if you want to understand what I'm saying, you can install some app called CPU-Z on your phone. You can check the sensors data which has been generated. Okay, so this data, whenever it is collected from 32 sensors from your phone, it collects all the time. Okay, so even if you keep the phone idle also, it will understand. So that's the reason your phone has something called pedometer. Okay, so that means it understands how much you have walked, how much you have like ride the bike today, so how much you will be running, like that. So this data will be collected all the time. So I am talking about just one phone. So imagine like we generate around, you will take around 5-10 photos, plus we have some, so based on your all social media interactions along with your photos and all, you will consume about like you will generate, not only consume, you will also generate. Imagine like each phone consumes about 100 MB of data. So 100 MB per phone. So I am taking the minimalist usage. Okay, so 100 MB per phone. So there are more than like you know that there are 100 crores of phones in our India. Okay, so I am not taking the full consideration of the population, so I am skipping off the population above 100. Okay, so 100 crores multiplied by 100 MB. Okay, so you can imagine like this is the status of just one country. So this much of data is generated for each particular country. So now after this, what actually happens is you can multiply it by the number of whole devices available on the whole world. So even if you multiply it by like 2 or 3, for example, people like me will use more than 3 devices. So each person will have 3 devices. 3 devices multiplied by that number will like approximately it will tend towards the 2.5 quintillion of data will be generated per day. If you look at the amount of data we are collecting, so we are actually drowning in data. Okay, so much data, like most of us are drowning it, but we are starving for knowledge. Okay, so it's like if I have to give an analogy, you are in a pile of books, in the sense you are in the biggest library. Okay, so but you would like to have like content from 100 books which are very random in the whole library. So you want to write an assignment out of it. Okay, so that is the situation we have right now in the world. And if you look at this data analytics and all, there are a lot of terms which are like interchangeably used and all. So some fancy naming convention has been done for most of the things which we do in analytics. So we have something called business analytics, we have something called business intelligence, we have something called data analytics, data science. Now they have come up with a new word called augmented analytics. Okay, so these all things will cover one specific area where you have to collect the data, you refine, you process it, then you will visualize it. Okay, so some fancy terms has been given because a little bit of process will be altered in each of the area. Okay, so just assume that like all this will have a base core. Now we will understand the analytics process. Okay, so the first thing is I will give an example of selling IPL tickets. Okay, so later we'll have an interaction regarding opening a car showroom in your city. First thing is imagine like I am a ticket seller or like I am a stadium owner. Now I want to decide the price of the IPL tickets, in the sense that like imagine like there is a RCB versus some Delhi match going on. Okay, so I'm not a fan of cricket, but like I'm just taking IPL as an example because people are more fond of IPL and cricket in India. Okay, so this we have to decide the ticket price for this match. Okay, so what we can do is, suppose if the match is very important, most of the people will buy it. If the match is not important, people will not buy it. So to decide, to understand whether people are excited about a particular match or not, so it's very important. So how to get that whether particular match is important or not? So they will go ahead with Twitter APIs. Okay, so they will collect the data from Twitter, they will collect data from the Facebook, they will collect data from the WhatsApp. Okay, so all this data will be collected. So then they will decide, they will do something called sentiment analysis and all. Okay, so I'll just to show you a small demo of that. So what they will do is, they will see whether the behavioral analysis of these people is positive or negative. If it is positive, so obviously that means like people are more fond of that match. Okay, for example, I love RCB, I like Chennai Super Kings, I like Delhi. Okay, so like if they tweet like this, you will get to know that like more people are excited about this particular match or something like that. So even people will tweet it the hashtag. Okay, so that also helps. So based on that, if more people are excited, you can increase the ticket price. If more people are not excited, you can decrease the ticket price. So that can be done. Okay, so even this is being done in e-commerce kind of thing also. Okay, so this is understanding how this is done. So what we did here is, first we collected the data. First we did the data collection from Twitter, data collection from Facebook, then data collection from WhatsApp or any social media. Okay, so then we prepared the data, because we don't need all the words whatever has been tweeted on Twitter. See, for example, somebody may tweet like I love Virat Kohli, something like this, but that is nowhere concerned to match which is being played. So that kind of things will be eliminated in data preparation. So after that, we will give it to some tools. Okay, so something like Power BI and all. So that will provide us insights in the sense that will give me a graph, heat map of what is being done or what may happen like that. Okay, so this is an example for data collection, data preparation, insights. Similarly, if you take an example of election, so election will collect the data in the sense votes will be collected, votes will be like prepared, like they will be collected, they will be sorted based on the particular state and all. So then they will draw the graphs for it. Okay, so data collection, data preparation, insights. Okay, so this is one of the minimalist explanation of analytics process. So let's have an interaction on this. So you can use your chat on the Google Meet. So now imagine like I want to open a showroom in your city. Okay, so imagine like I want to open a BMW showroom. Okay, so you can see, if I invest a lot of money, so if it is a normal car showroom and all, it's a matter of 1 or 2 crores. So if I had to open a BMW showroom, BMW car prices are very high. So if I implement that showroom, if I buy all the cars, if nobody buys it, I will be in deep trouble, because a debt of 50 crores, something like that, so it will happen. So now I want to check beforehand, okay, whether I can open a showroom in a city. So to do that, the first part we have to do is something called data collection. Okay, so can you tell me where I can collect the data for BMW showrooms? I mean, like I want to understand the people's behavior. See, for example, if people are buying BMW cars, obviously they have to be above middle class, something like that. Okay, so I am looking for people who are above middle class. So where to get the data? So what actually happens in opening a car showroom is, now I want data. Okay, so data should come for me. Okay, I should not look into Twitter and Facebook, because people will not like tweet something like I'm rich, something like that. Okay, so you can just analyze their behavior, but you cannot get the definite data. So one of the main source of their data, like how much people are like willing to buy and who is having a rich property, something like that. So we can go ahead with the municipal's data, one point. So also we can go ahead with their bank data. Okay, so I know it's a private thing, but still that can be accessed using some other means. Okay, so once you collect the data for this car details, like in the sense who is rich and all, so then you can go ahead and do something called data preparation. That is, we can decide which is important out of that, because somebody can tweet like I am willing to buy a BMW, but he is like actually not having that much of worth. So that kind of guys can be eliminated. Okay, then we will provide something called insights. That is, all this Facebook and Google can help you. So then you can decide that like insights will be provided based on this. So now we will see to what extent this big data. So if you consider a byte of rice data as a 1 grain of rice, if you take zettabyte, it will fills the whole Indian Ocean. That is, the grain of rices will fill the whole ocean. So if you consider it at very high level, so if you take quintillion and all, it may cover whole Earth as well as Mars. So that's the idea here. Okay, so this is too much of data. So this is a big data landscape. I know it's not possible to view in your small screens. Okay, but once I share the PPT, you can zoom and have a look at it. So these are all the companies which are all working on big data and all. So all connected to big data. So out of them, on the middle, so here we can see my mouse cursor. So this is where the analytics stuff will come. So this is where applications will come. So this is the infrastructure. Okay. So you can understand there is a lot of scope regarding this analytics. So we are talking about this area now. Then we will see what is the importance. So here the prediction of customer trends and behaviors are important, like who is buying in what way. See right now, like you can see Amazon is having grocery, Flipkart is having grocery, JioMart is having grocery. So then if we are a company owner, you should be able to do something called customer trends and behavior analysis. Okay. So then we can analyze and deliver data in meaningful ways like charts, graphs and all. Then increase business productivity because no one wants to look at the data, so they need an easy decision making process. So next, decision making based on the predictions available from the data. Then new revenue opportunities, in the sense, see for example, Zomato was not there, Ola was not there. So how they came up with the idea that like this can be done based on the data collected from Google Maps and all. So you can understand what's the people behavior, and so that will create a new revenue opportunity. Then more effective marketing. The more you know, like who is the audience, the better you can do the marketing. For example, I don't watch TV. Okay, so if I sit before TV, I get irritated a lot by advertisements. Okay, the reason is the TV advertisements are for general audience, in the sense before TV everybody sits, like a kid will sit, a grandma will sit, a father and mother will sit, all kind of people. They have to target it in a general way. Whereas if I use YouTube, so they know that like what's my age, what's my like interests or and all. They can give specific ad to my YouTube. Okay, so that is more effective marketing. So then better customer service. Okay, so you can see nowadays a lot of chat bots have come. Okay, so you don't need chat to particular customer care executive. You just chat with a bot in the Amazon. Okay, so you will get a customer service. Then improved operational efficiency. So that is whenever the products has to be delivered and all, because of this analytics and all. So nowadays all this product delivery has become fast, and you can also trace it. Then we have competitive advantage over rivals. So this is very important. So if you look at Amazon and Flipkart's fighting whenever they have some sale going on, like Big Billion Days and all. So they have also look for competitive advantage, in the sense they have to do it in a split second decision making. So whenever one particular phone price drops in one shop, so it has to drop in another shop, like both e-commerce will compete in that way. So whoever is having the best analytics, they will always have a competitive advantage. So then we'll just look at the journey. So at the beginning, like very long back, so what we were having is, we were having something called descriptive analytics. So analytics was giving something called what happened. So now diagnostics analytics has come. So this was doing why did that happen. Okay, so first we were looking for what happened. So after that we were looking for why did it happen. So now we have something called predictive analytics. We are into this area now. Okay, so we are living in this area. So we were also predicting what will happen. Like we were also predicting whether a particular person will win a match, or whether particular stock will go up or not. That will predicting. Okay, so this is called predictive analytics. Then we can also do something called prescriptive analytics. Okay, so that is beforehand we are like planning how should make it happen. So that is an example for prescriptive analytics. Okay, so this is the analytics journey. Okay, so we are moving into this area, but right now we are in here. Okay, so we are just predicting what will happen in the future. So how to make it happen? So we are having something called augmented analytics and all. So that will help you to do that. So just three types. So analytics types. First one is descriptive. So this will tell me what happened in the past. Okay, so I'll collect the data, process it, then visualize it. Then predictive. So what will happen in the future? So we'll use something called neural networks, decision trees, okay, regression concepts and all. Then prescriptive, what should be? So they will use data driven decisions, then they will implement that, then they will get the things done. So before moving ahead with analytics, you should also understand few concepts like underlying technologies which will drive the analytics. Okay, so one of the popular technology which goes behind the big data or behind the analytics is MapReduce. Okay, so this MapReduce is one of the beautiful way of aggregating similar data. Okay, so you can see here on the image below, so this is the data. So imagine like this blue strip is Congress, on saffron strip is BJP, so some yellow strip is some other party. Okay, so this has been coming from Karnataka, okay, Maharashtra, then UP, something like that. So then they will split them. So first we will map them, then we will reduce them. Okay, so reduce them in the sense we will make like-minded into one area. Okay, so that is the concept of MapReduce. Then we will also have machine learning. So machine learning for automating the things. We will see machine learning more in the upcoming slides. So I'll just give you a case study. So the first best case study is how Google uses analytics. So Google total revenue depends on a particular concept called analytics. So what they will do is, whenever you open particular search in your phone, or whenever you open a browser, Chrome browser in your phone, so they have something called cookies in their browsers, or even in the apps which you use in the phone, Android. So these cookies, so based on some JavaScript on the phone, on your browser, so even in the phone it will work. So these will collect the data. Okay, so this data, whatever has been collected by your phone and browser, it will go and sit in the Google servers. So in this Google servers, they will apply some Google Analytics, so whatever algorithm they have devised. So then they will create some reports. Based on the reports they have obtained, so they will decide like which is the most popular product which they are willing, whether people are using Google Drive or not. Okay, then whether Google Meet is popular or not. So how to improve Google Meet. Okay, so those kind of things can be answered. So similarly, these reports will help them to market the things also. So this Facebook, Amazon and Google will interlink, like in the sense each will share their data to another person, so that they will make more the profit. Okay, so that's very important regarding this analytics. So one particular example which I can give you is Google pays like around like 4 billion I guess to Apple every year. Okay, so approximate number. So every year they will pay Google to Apple phone, that like Apple should make the default search engine as Google. Okay, so there is Bing also, but Google pays a lot of money to Apple to make it as a default search. The reason is, even though it is free, they will get to know the pattern and liking of iPhone users. So that way they can refine the things in the Google. Okay, so that's one case study. So then we have something called preventive machinery maintenance. So this is one of the most beautiful concept in machinery maintenance. So in India and all, we have a tendency that like we should always fix the vehicles when they break down. So that is not actually the right way of living with the machines, in the sense machines tend to show you some symptoms where they will like tear off at particular time, but before the tear off they will give you some symptoms. Okay, so that symptoms can be identified and we can avoid the breakage of that machine. So you can, if you look at the general statistics here, 38% of the cars are having dirty engine oil. Okay, so they have very bad air filters. Okay, then they have inadequate cooling protection. Okay, so then they have something called contaminated brake fluid and all. Because of these things, it will create a lot of chaos regarding even in traffic also, even for it's create a burden for the particular owner. Okay, so this can be solved using something called preventive machinery maintenance. What this idea here is, all your data, cars data using sensors can be collected, then that can be sent to particular company, so they will do the analysis. Okay, so nowadays this has come, but they are doing it halfway. Okay, so whenever you take a particular car to the showroom, they will plug in one particular laptop, they have some software, so which will run the analysis for you. Okay, so similarly we can prevent that machinery, in case of breakdown we can maintain it. Okay, so that is called preventive machinery maintenance. So that means we will service it before it breaks it. Okay, so in the sense, before breakdown we will service it in advance so that it will run very smoothly. You may be thinking, what the big issue, car may break down, we will get a lift and all, but if you take factories and all, factories will have a lot of machinery. This is a very important task for them. Okay, then another popular case study is this Larsen Hadron Collider experiment. Okay, it is at CERN. Okay, so this was one of the most, you can just google this word like Large Hadron Collider. Okay, so you'll get to know this. There is a nice documentary about this also, you can watch that. The point here is you can see here, just for your phone there are 32 sensors, but for particular car and all there will be hundreds. Okay, for this experiment to be done, a physics experiment to be done, they were doing actually 1 billion collisions per second. Okay, so they wanted to understand how Big Bang happened. Okay, so that is a project which we are trying to do. So they were having 1,20,000 CPUs running. Okay, so they had 2 data centers. Lot of big data is generated just in one day. Okay, or even in 1 hour. So they have to do that analysis and they have to come up with some particular insights. Okay, so this is one particular example for big data, or like even analytics, data analytics. We'll call it as modern IT amalgam. So what actually happens here is data analytics will fall into this area, that is analyze data. First we'll access the data. So we have sensors, we have files and databases. So this will come under a section of IoT, Internet of Things. Here is analyze data. We will explore the data, we will pre-process it, we will eliminate what is not important, then we will apply some algorithms to do that, something like MapReducer. So this is part of analytics. Then we will develop some AI models. They will do some modeling and simulation. So this will come a area where like the terms like augmented analytics will come here. So that's the idea. Then after that, then we will deploy that things to the particular users or like even for devices. So this image contains everything, in the sense this part is IoT, so this part is analytics or data analytics or big data, so this part is machine learning or even artificial intelligence. So this is actually a deployment of the whole thing. Then what happens when you try it? Okay, so suppose if you are into data, if you are working on data, if you are working on big data analytics and all, so this is what the expectations are. Most people feel that like a lot of scope is there, you can do a lot of things in the big data and all. So this is what the expectations are, but the reality is this: it's not that easy. So it feels like an elephant sitting on your chest itself. So it's a pain. Okay, but once you learn it, it's a good show. But very few people who know the data analytics in a very deeper way. So that's the reason we have very few data scientists. So then comes something called problem with human-based analytics. So then we apply human beings to do the analytics. We will give them data. So they will do the analytics and they will come up with some insights. But the problem with the human-based analytics is they have something called biased insights. Say for example, what actually this means is, suppose there is a person who loves Amazon but working for Flipkart. So what he will do is, whenever he is doing processing data for Flipkart, he will have a biased insights, in the sense based on his own inference, based on his own thinking, he will always give a wrong insights. So that is also there, biased insight. Then it's very common that like people will do errors, either it may be coding, it may be implementation, it can be processing. You understand this word costly data scientist, in the sense data scientists are costly. Like some of the data scientists, best world data scientists are paid per hour. So that's the point, costly data scientists. So data scientists are not easy to hire. This human-based analytics is manual and it will take very long duration to get the things done. So what is the solution? So to avoid this, they have come up with something called augmented analytics. So in your computer science, you have something called databases. So whenever there is databases, you will write some SQL queries. So how you write the SQL queries? Select star from something, select this column and this column, add this and show me for this condition, something like that. So you'll write SQL queries, but 90% of the people would not like to write the queries. Okay, so writing queries needs a lot of technical knowledge. So to avoid this, now they have come up with something called augmented analytics. That is, they will use normal language as a question to answer the things. How you Google search. Okay, so you should be able to get insights. Like I can do something like make an average of first and fourth column and show it to me. So if I just type this, it should be able to do. I don't want to write the SQL query for that. So the concept here is augmented analytics. Then we are getting a little bit deeper into augmented analytics. That is, augmented analytics is a machine learning and artificial intelligence concepts which will augment it. Augment in the sense it will assist or it will improve it. So already analytics is there. What analytics will do? Data preparation, insight generation, insight explanation. But if you use machine learning and AI, it will help or augment, add boost to the analytics. So this is what the future of analytics look like. In 1990s, we were having coding based platforms. That is, we were taking months of time, we were writing codes, we were generating reports. So it will take minimum of 1 month to get to some insight. Then we have something called visual based platforms. That is, we had graphs, this Excel reports and all. So by that time we were providing the data. So we were waiting for day or hours to get the things done. Still it is there in Bangalore right now. So still people are using this visual based platforms and all. It will take day or hours to get the things done. So now we are moving into something called augmented analytics. That is, we don't want to wait. We don't want to wait because if any good company like corporate company, if it waits for day or hours, it will lose a lot of money. So to solve that problem, they have come up with this immediate real-time insights. That is the example for augmented analytics. Okay. So right now we are in the era of augmented analytics. Okay. So still it is in the baby mode. Okay. So it's not that perfect. So a lot of machine learning algorithms has to be applied. So then question comes, how to augment the analytics? Okay. So the point here is, when it goes beyond human, machine learning comes in. Okay. So I'll just give an example for this. What do you mean by when it goes beyond human? Okay. See, for example, imagine there is a person who collects the Twitter data every day. Every day he will does that and he will send a report or he will generate a report. So if he keeps on doing this, imagine if he does it for like 4-5 hashtags, not an issue. So imagine like if there are 10,000 hashtags to be processed, so it becomes very difficult for him. So they will make him work like more than 10 hours, something like that. So even they need a lot of workforce for that. So to solve that, we can like help the machine to learn on its own the process of getting the tweets and processing them using the machine learning. So you can just use some machine learning model which will do the work for you. So then how machine learning helps? Okay, so in machine learning you have two important factors which will augment the analytics. That is natural language processing. So that is whatever Google Assistant you will use, that is an example for natural language generation. Okay, because basically how we search is, say for example, I can search if I am looking for any presentation or PDF regarding augmented analytics, I will type something like augmented analytics PDF or like augmented analytics PPT. That is normal searching. So that's a normal query kind of thing. So if you give it to natural language generation, so I have seen people like typing in Google search something like where can I get augmented analytics PP presentation, where can I get food, how to go to like university, something like that. So if they search like that, so that is an example for natural language generation. That is, natural language will be given like your text will be converted. See for example, if you say like where can I get food, so the important word in your whole sentence is food. So your Google should understand that. How Google understand that? They have something called natural language processing. So natural language processing will identify what is the important word in the whole sentence. Then you have machine learning. So this machine learning will give the answer. So NLP will help you to the searching, then machine learning will give you the. Then coming over to this part, so how actually machine learning works. Okay, so how this machine learning will help you to help the augmented analytics. Okay, so how they are plugging it in the engineering of analytics. So I'll just give you idea regarding this. So first thing is, I'll just give a very small example so that you can understand. So we will consider the training data. So what actually training data means, suppose if you want to teach a particular kid that whether fire burns or not. Okay, so what you can do is, we can collect something called training data. That is, you can have agarbatti, then you can have a burning stick, we can have burning plastic, burning iron rod. Okay, so burning clothes, like that. So you can have any kind of item which is burning. Okay, so that is an example for training data. Then based on this training data, then we little bit clean it. Okay, so because we, for example, we will avoid the things which are very dangerous. Okay, then we will train the machine learning model. Okay, so once the machine learning model is ready, okay, so then you will give some new input data. For example, if I take the example of kid, so you take the training data for like burning wood, stick and agarbatti and all, train the kid like how to train it. So just put that agarbatti on his hand, something like that. If it burns it, he will scream, he will say aha, something like that. So that is an response. Okay, so then you give some input, new input, in the sense once he learn this, so give some input data, in the sense instead of agarbatti, take a stick and burn him, something like that. So if he screams, so that means your model is working fine. If he does not scream, again come up with a new algorithm, so or alter the existing algorithm so that he can learn. Okay, so the more training data, the better. So then test it with the new input data, then do the prediction. So if it burns him, then it is a successful model, else it is not. Okay, so similarly that applies for the like Twitter also. See, for example, if I say what's the training data is, it will send lot of data into the Twitter and put it to a machine learning model. Machine learning model will try to figure out that like words like love, champion, so words like victory are positive words, whereas like depression, like not willing to go, like this kind of words are negative words. So that can be, so based on the data which we have trained, so this machine learning models without human intervention will try to figure out what the words are, whether they are positive, negative, something like that. So this is a broader view of machine learning. So what you are working on, see, for example, if you want to do image classification, you have to go with something called supervised learning. So under that we have something called classification, then you should be able to do image classification. That is, in machine learning itself there is something called supervised, unsupervised and reinforcement. Okay, so it takes a lot of time to explain this, but as the talk is focused on data analytics, I am restricting but I am giving you an idea. So decide what you would like to do. See, for example, if you are going with big data visualization, you have to do unsupervised learning. Okay, so in that dimensional election. Then suppose if you are doing some game analytics and all, okay, so game artificial intelligence, then go ahead with the machine learning models which will do reinforcement learning. Then coming to the overview of whatever has been taught, first we have something called data resources. So data sources come from ERPs, CRM, OLAP, then Excel sheets also. Some offline data from municipal corporation will also help. So this will be the data sources. Even GPS data will come, mobiles data, social media data. Okay, so all blog searching data and all. Then we will take that data, we will load it. Okay, so we'll extract and transform and load it. Then it will go and sit in a storage, that is something called warehouse. Okay, so here we will use some technique called HDFS and all. They will use Cassandra, HBase and all. So here comes the big data stuff. So it will also use something called MapReduce and all to do the things. Then you will do the analysis. So for analysis and all, there are some tools like Spark, Hive and all. So these are all like little bit older but still in use. So then we will do the business intelligence. So based on the analysis, finally we will come with the reporting or visualization. So this reporting or visualization is very important. For example, Tableau kind of tools will help you do this, because nobody has the time to look into the data and what is the data is all about and all. For example, whenever you watch election results in the TV, they will show some bar graphs and all. Congress is like leading, BJP is leading, something like that. So that is an example for reporting and visualization. Similarly, if you watch cricket, the growth of a particular team, okay, so against overs and all, they will plot the things. So that visualization will always help you to do the thing. Then I'll just give you idea regarding this AI, ML and DL. Okay, so what the point here is, artificial intelligence is human intelligence exhibited by machines. Machine learning is an approach to achieve artificial intelligence. Deep learning is a technique for implementing this. So why I am putting this slide here is because you should understand these three terms in a very simpler way, which will help you to do the more things in analytics. Okay, so most of the times, 90% of the times, your machine learning thing will be enough for you, for if you are doing with augmented analytics or analytics kind of. But if you don't know what you are doing, suppose data is very new, suppose some C related analytics has come, no one has done a machine learning model on that, then you should go ahead with the deep learning. So deep learning will always find insights which are very new. So AI is just an implementation of the things. If a car is there, car stops if somebody comes before the car. So that is an example for artificial intelligence. So how car learns how human beings are and all, that is an example for machine learning. If all the cars together understands how like human beings are, how they will look like, then that is an example for deep learning. So popular applications. So one of the most popular applications recently, like nowadays, because everything is getting digital in terms of finance and all. So the first popular application they will do is something called fraud detection. So if you take example of that Jamtara and all, calling hacks and all, this fraud detection is done okay. So instantly they have to do it, but nowadays like still it is not there, okay. So when augmented analytics comes in a very broader picture, so it will change the whole things, okay. So nowadays fraud detection will take at least minimum of 1 month to trace, police filing and all, so it will take very long time. So then predictive analytics of machinery. So as previously I explained, machines needs to be fixed before they are breakdown, so that like the things will continue in a beautiful way. So then we have something called sentiment analysis. So nowadays whenever there are strikes, riots and all in the countries, whenever they bring fire, like whenever they put fire, whenever they will break buses and all, then you will get to know that there is some problem on the road. So to avoid that, we can do something called sentiment analysis. So beforehand we can predict like whether there is a riot will happen or not, okay. So that is an example for sentiment analysis. So these are all very popular tools, okay, you can explore this. So I recommend you to go ahead and use Power BI, so because this is a free tool, desktop tool, which you can try on your own. So there are other tools like SAP Analytics and ThoughtSpot, okay, Elofin. So these are a very popular tool which are ahead of the game. Tableau is one, okay. So you can practice with Power BI and Tableau. Then you can play with some open data. So for example, you can get some data from open data government, that is India's government data, okay. So you can find some insights like based on the soil against a particular geographical area. So what would be the price, something like that. So then try with the Twitter and Facebook APIs. Some of the APIs are free, so you can collect the data from. So right now I'll just show you one particular example, so which is readily available online. I have to specify the keywords in the sense like hashtags for the Twitter. So what I will do is right now, so I will type something like we will say like COVID-19, okay. So we want to see how many people are talking about this. So what this application will do is it will take COVID-19 as a hashtag, then it will go to Twitter, so it will collect all the tweets. So then it will analyze them, whether how people are upset, people are unhappy, people are excited, people are contented, whether they are calm, something like that, okay. So right now if you look at this dots over here, I hope you can see this on the right hand side. So things are more related to alert. So most people are not happy, so that's the reason happy is very far from these dots, okay. So here it is, most people are very tensed, nervous and all in the beginning days. Nowadays everyone is like get addicted to corona, so in the sense like you have made peace with it, so you are no more like stressed or something like that. So that's the reason you can see a lot of tweets are on the right hand side. So very few people are tensed or bored regarding the like corona, okay, that is like COVID-19, okay. So if I had done this search query long back, before 5 months, something like that, all these dots will be falling in the left pane, okay. So that is like people were more stressed, tensed, bored and all, okay. So we can also look at the tweets. So these are all the tweets which has been collected regarding that, okay. So then we can also do something like recently there is a farmers like strike regarding this APMC issue and all. So we can say farmer APMC as a keyword. So we can query it, we can see like what's the situation in the country. So based on the tweets, we can try this. So what we are trying to do is we are trying to understand the mindsets of the people just using the Twitter. So how people will think on Twitter, how people are impacting the things. So again, you can see here based on the keywords like farmer, APMC and all. So very few people are interested regarding this. So you can say like if I say suicide as a keyword, so if you load the tweets, so it will again go towards the left hand. So we will see what it does. So it takes some time, okay. So it uses your browser resource and some third-party server to get the things done, okay. So you can play this. I'll share the screenshot. So you can see here, if I type the word keyword suicide, most dots are falling on the left hand side. So that means like these are the people who are depressed and talking about suicide and all. So moving ahead, we will see like what the things actions you should take to make a career out of data analytics. So now if you just Google something called sexiest job of 21st century, data scientist is a keyword which will come. So if you just Google for sexiest job of 21st century, so data scientist is one of the most popular like outcome. So data scientist is called as a sexiest job of 20th century. If you look at the average salaries increase of particular in analytics, here it is. So like if you become the director of some analytics team and all, 35 35 plus lakhs is a like a pay scale. Okay, so what I am trying to show is it's not about money. The point here is, so if you look at the growth graph, okay, so people are willing to pay more if people are very well versed with handling the data. Okay, so that's the reason data scientist is one of the prominent. So then popular job positions, so intelligence analyst, mining engineer, architect, data scientist. So if you look at this jobs and all, we'll also look at the skills. Okay, so first thing is, in programming and all, you need to know a little bit of Python. Okay, so then you should understand what big data is all about. Then you should know few things regarding mathematics and statistics if you are willing to work as a data scientist. Okay, so if you are just working as an analyst, you don't need to know this, but if you are going at data scientist, you should know this. So you can explore more like what popular position will require what skills. Okay, finally I am into the end of this session. So what I have done is, I am just scratching the tip of iceberg. Okay, so analytics, this big data and all, they are huge things. Okay, so I am just on the tip of the iceberg. There is a lot more to learn. So based on my opinion and all, based on my recommendations, you can explore and start working on analytics and prepare yourself for an analytics workflow. So what you have to do next here is, you can go through this presentation once shared. Okay, so explore the resources provided, play with artificial intelligence based analytics like something like Power BI. So the moment recruiters will know that you know something called Power BI, their eyes will open, they will look forward to hire you, something like that. So then we can also build some AI models, then scale up and use them in the Power BI. So there is no guarantee that like you will be winning this all the time. So sometimes you will fail. Okay, so again, learn from your failures, try to do some analytics and all, try to come up with a new insights, something like that. Okay, so it's not a small journey, because most of the data scientists and all, they will take at least 5 years to get to that stage. So as you know it very early, so you can plan it out, like you can start learning now, and by next 6 months and all, you will become expert in. So thank you for listening. If you want to explore more, I have few blogs, like this is my personal website. So this is regarding computer science and all. You can explore more here on CS Bytes. Okay, so you can make a note of this animation.com if you are willing to learn about life and all. Okay, so again, if you go ahead and look into this link, you will get more presentations. So finally, you can contact me on this email ID and contact numbers.